authentic and delicious culinary delights from 30 countries with legitimate beer and wine from around the world, as well as fun activities to do in and around each of these unique countries.
Y'all ready to sing? Come on!
Not only is the Food and Wine Festival going on at Epcot, what a lot of people don't realize is the very talented and diverse lineup of top bands performing nightly at this ongoing party. Even the pickiest of eaters will find something they like here at Food and Wine. And whatever your music of taste is, you have an array of 32 bands and performers to go see. From Sheila E., Sugar Ray, Smash Mouth, 98 Degrees, Kenny G, Taylor Dane, Boys to Men, and Everclear. There are so many fun activities here in Central Florida, this being one of my favorite. So be sure to check out Food and Wine Festival and Eat to the Beat series going on here at Epcot now through November 12th. And if I don't see you here, I look forward to seeing you around the neighborhood.